was one time where the old Shawn Michaels seemed to come out a little bit, and that was in the program with Hulk Hogan. You guys had a tag team for a couple of months, posing all over the shop, beating tag teams, and then you turn on him, and then it felt like for a little while we got some of that 1997, 1998 Shawn Michaels, which people were clamoring for. The Larry King like sketch we had the walker. And it's the one thing that I've ever seen when you talk about it. Not that you get angry about it, there's a frustration there about that program, as how it turned out. Not that you're angry, but there's a frustration there. Why did that not turn out the way that you wanted it to, or the way you thought it should? And why is that the one time that you did decide to give a little bit of the old Shawn Michaels?
Well, because that's specifically what they asked for was 97 Shawn. And the thing is, and so the only part that was ever frustrating was, me having to do a lot of it on my own and sort of it constantly changing, week to week, and of what we, originally had thought it would be. But then other than that, I mean, that's what everybody wanted. And look, I will say this, and it doesn't matter what I say, but you have to understand the wrestling business is always going to that's what we do, make things 10 times bigger. And the great thing about it is when we make it 10 times bigger, you guys make it 20 to 30 times bigger in your own minds.
Spoken and spun like a true politician.
I knew he was going to answer somewhat like that, but that's Shawn Michaels for you, political answer. With that being said, let's continue on. See what else Shawn Michaels going to say about this match.
Your old world. And so the thing is, I'm no dummy. I know the past that I created. All I have to do is give you a hint of that, and you think I'm back. You think I'm wrong. He's doing it again. And I don't mean it to be mean or cruel. It's just, the human wrestling fan is an easy thing to manipulate. God bless you. You know what I mean? But it's not like, I'm just saying, it's not like I could have done that whole Larry King live thing and like nobody in the WWE have okayed that. You know what I mean? Or even the promo that I did after it. You know what I mean? It's not like, because this is no longer 97. This is no longer, again, a world where it was just owned by one guy and we only had to run it by him. Now it is publicly traded. Now now things do have to get approved. So that's one of those things. That's a world.
That's cap. Totally cap.
Again, that all I know is that I learned that that's a world that almost takes care of itself. And I don't mean it to be disrespectful, but that's the easiest world to work because you guys are constantly caught up in what you believe to be the real behind the scenes, and all you have to do is mess with the real behind the scenes a little bit, feed that to you guys, and you're off and running with it. Piece of cake. You know what I mean? Well, I'm just saying, we as the Click, we did that all the time. That was one of the things we figured out early on, is that, holy cow, and the locker room, half of them buy half of that stuff. So look, for what it's worth, the only people who are easier to work than you guys are the guys we're in the dressing room with.
It's funny you say that because we did a show in Glasgow with Scott Hall, and we were talking to him about when they came back in 2002, the NWO thing, and I'd asked him, I said, was it difficult to go in that environment where people are kind of like, he was WCW, whatever, and he talked about an interaction where the Dudley boys came up to him and said, hey, how's it going? And he was like, yeah, cool, your finish is the 3D? And they were like, yeah, and he was like, can't wait to kick out of it. And they got really annoyed, and he was like, don't worry, I'm only serious. And I guess that's kind of to your point, but you've talked before about in the Hogan thing that it was originally going to be a few matches, maybe he would win one, you would win one, you'd have a rubber match. So looking back now on it with what it was, are you glad you did it? Is it something that you enjoyed doing when you look back?
Yeah, well, look, I'll put it, it was one of those things that, for me, I don't care who you are, if you're in this line of work and even remotely in the same era as him, you want to say you were out there with the biggest. Say what you want, but he's the biggest name that this business, you know what I mean, will probably ever see or ever know. And so look, it's one of those things that you just sort of go, again, I mean, same thing with Rick. I mean, it's one of those things that you, as a guy, well, I'm just saying, it's one of those things that, look, if you've got this, your own little checklist in your mind, to be able to say that. Because again, I was a fan once too. And all of a sudden, then one day you're in the locker room with these guys. And it's like, oh my goodness. And then you get time goes on, then you're their peers and your friends or whatever. And then all of a sudden your business, whatever the case may be. But there's still a part of you is like, I would love to, that's one of the things I'd never done is been out there with Hulk Hogan. And he was back and it seemed like, look, this is an opportunity for this to be able to happen. Anybody think anything's there? We got anything? And so, and everybody seemed to, think it was something that was viable. So I was definitely into it. Look, I will say that again, it was originally wanted to be, this good guy versus good guy. And it was one of those things where, HBK just needed to know. And those things got changed. And again, I also, I knew that it's hard to say, okay, so now I got to be a heel. And one of the things also, like if you're Shawn Michaels, it's like, and again, the Jesus thing, it's like even going to church, like I somehow can't be a bad guy on TV. So if you got a hard time with the church people, so do I. Because it's like, so I can't pretend to be something on TV and still go to church on Sunday because that somehow makes me, I'm acting. You know what I mean? And so, like, look, I got no idea what's going to happen when that Marine 6 movie comes out because I say bad words in it. You know what I mean? Am I going to get in trouble at church when I do that? I don't understand that. I'm playing a part. You know what I mean? And so, and again, for what it's worth, I mean, like, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, if it's who he says he is, he already knows what's already in there. You know what I mean? So, and it's either okay or it isn't. And so, so it was that kind of stuff that even as a wrestling fan, I can't be a bad guy anymore without everybody thinking there's a part of me that's really bad. And then sometimes you go like, oh, how many times do we have to go through this? So that's, to your point, that's the only part that gets a little, I guess, like frustrating about it is where pro wrestling is only pro wrestling when you want it to be. And that's the thing that's always been, that's what frustrated the Click all those times, way back when, is that so it's all built on BS, but if we throw the BS out now, you don't like it. You know what I mean? It's, so it was only that kind of stuff that made it even remotely tough. But I was very, again, thrilled to do it. And even like the match itself, even that's gotten blown out of proportion. All that really did was reveal to me that I made the right choice in not trying to be a heel again, because that is the way I sold when I was a heel. And now you fast forward to 2005 and that's known as overselling. I wouldn't be good at it. I mean, that's the thing, because there was only as I told people, there was only one thing I was trying to do in that match, and it was a joke. It was a private joke between Kevin Nash and I. Everything else has turned out to have a life of its own, which just honestly, just shows that I'm no longer a good heel anymore, because that's how I used to bump for everybody in '95 and nobody minded it. You know what I mean? Well, I'm just saying it's one of those things. I mean, Ziggler does it now and nobody calls it overselling. Well, I'm just saying, so I guess that's one of the things that, and that happens 100%, and I don't mean it to be, critical, and it's okay, but that happens 100% because I'm Shawn Michaels. You know what I mean? No, I mean that in the bad sense. I get that kind of criticism, again, because I get, I'm going to get some of that, like, oh, no, he was really angry. That, look, there's nothing I can do about that. That's part of having to, having the past that I have. You have to deal with stuff like that. I can think of a lot worse things to do. You know what I mean? If that's all I have to deal with is, having to explain, like, no, honestly, I wasn't trying to marry the guy, really, really badly. I was actually, the thing is, I will say, I was trying to make the stuff that I didn't think was looking very good, try to look good. And so clearly I went overboard trying to do that. You know what I mean? But it's just when you see it done to somebody else, it doesn't look very good. So you feel like I need to make it bigger. And clearly I didn't do a good job with that, but I honestly think, I've never gone out there like I said, except the one time. One time I was told to have something bad happen in a match, it happened. But I was told to do that. I've never once gone out there and tried to, stink the joint out. You know what I mean? I'm known for a lot of stuff, but trying to stink the joint out is not one of them.
Okay, that's Shawn Michaels. He went on Inside the Ropes. He talked about the situation of the shoot of the real match between himself and Hulk Hogan. He went down, explained the original plan and everything. How it was supposed to be a legend versus icon, but did not come down to that. See who else came in. King Groove TV, salute to you. Welcome to the locker room, my man. Appreciate you coming out. And we got someone else who came to the locker room for the first time. Isaac Fernandez, if I said that correctly. Excuse me if I didn't. Welcome to the locker room. You're from Fresno. That's what's up. Welcome to the locker room, man. Anyway, Shawn Michaels, he says that despite all the issues, he didn't want to start off with Hulk Hogan. He said that, that name, biggest Hulk Hogan, he was honored to work with him. So he was honored to work with Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan's a big name. And he said, regardless of that, he didn't want to become the old 97 Shawn Michaels with the overselling. He even threw it in there that, hey, I do it, but Dolph Ziggler does it now. You don't say nothing to him. Try to take the heat off himself. But he said he just wanted to do a good match. His series did not happen. He said that he didn't really, go to the edge on Hogan, but he did state that Hogan did not agree with the plans, and it became one match and only one match at SummerSlam 2005. But, Shawn Michaels said and pretty much sum it up, he wanted to do business the right way. He wanted to put on a good feud. He said something about manipulating the fans and taking everything advantage. He said, you guys we make it 10 times better as wrestlers. You make it 20 times more. Yeah, but he means that by the crowd reaction. And he made, for example, to be a crowd reaction to, for example, something like this. So that, I think Shawn Michaels, he's very good at feeding off the crowd, how the crowd feel, and he just runs with it. And he did the same thing in this feud, in this match against Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam 2005. It's not no different from that. So, Shawn Michaels kept saying, you know what I mean, 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 giving political answers, knowing that he did not like how Hulk Hogan did business. How Hulk Hogan said it doesn't work for me, brother. So we got a little political answers, and we got it spun like a true politician.
Spoken and spun like a true politician.
So that's what we got in that answer. But other than that, Shawn Michaels, it was funny how he did the oversell. Let's look how he went over this turnbuckle. It was too funny. Let's look at that. Look how he flies off the turnbuckle. Oh man, that I just crack up every time I see that. But that's Shawn Michaels for you. That was his reaction, like I said earlier, to Hulk Hogan not wanting to put him over as he should have, especially at this point in his career. Now, there's another interview coming out. You guys let me know what you think of that interview of Shawn Michaels being on Inside the Ropes. So you guys let me know. Other than that,